For those that are new to the group, we begin by doing a short chant called the Dedication of Offerings, and we'll share the chanting on the screen so you can follow it. It's on page 2. It's in Pali and English. And then we'll follow that with the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. And that's our respect, if you like, paying respect to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and by taking the 5 refuges, we're committing ourselves to following or aspire. It's an aspirational aspiration to follow those 5 moral guidelines, and then I'll give a guided meditation, a short introductory teaching, which we'll follow with questions and answers. So make a start, as I said, by chanting the dedication of offerings. I'll light the candles and incense, and we'll bow 3 times. Does anybody prefer me not to light incense? I don't think to do very well with those ones. Sorry.
No.
These are all beautiful.
You need to smoke it, don't you? Put some additional on.
We've been here. We've been here for the last hour and a half and haven't thought to check whether or not there are matches. I've got a box full of used matches here. I think we might just go. Oh, here we are. Matches. Thank you. Yoso Bhagava Araham Samma Sambuddho, to the Blessed One, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment. Svakato yena Bhagavata Dhammo, to the teaching which he expounded so well. Supatipanno yassa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Dhammayam Bhagavantam Sadhammam Sasangam, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. Ime sakare yatarahan aropite abhipujayama. We render with offerings our rightful homage. Sadhuno bhante bhagava sachira parimibhutopi. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, Ajima Janata Lukam Pamanasa, still had compassion for later generations. Ime Sakare Dugatapanda Karapute Patikanmatu, may these simple offerings be accepted. Amhakam Digaratam Hitaya Sukhaya, for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One. Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivadehi, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Namansami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami, I bow to the Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. And moving on to the 5 precepts. Anatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. Adinatana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. Kamesu michachara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. Theravada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. Sura Merayamachapamaditana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness. Imani pancha sikkhapadani silena sugatinyanti silena bhoga sampada silena niputinyanti tasma silang visodaye. These are the 5 precepts. Virtue is the source of happiness. Virtue is the source of true wealth. Virtue is the source of peacefulness. Therefore, let virtue be purified. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Establishing awareness is establishing an awareness of the ordinary, not of any special thing. We don't need to do anything, create anything to be aware of. We don't need to do anything special. But being awake and aware is the natural state. There's nothing we really need to do. Let go of the busy doingness that we bring to our momentary, moment by moment experience. Letting go of that busyness, habit of doing, trying to get from somewhere to somewhere. Simply to be present is enough. Trusting in awareness. Then we receive the moment, whatever it is. The moment comes to us. The experience of the body, posture, the breath. Sensations of the body. Six senses. Including the mind. We're not really interested in the objects of awareness, they're just the awareness itself. So that's good enough. Experience of being awake and aware is good enough. When we say it's like this, we're not judging how it should be. The body is like this. Breath is like this. Thoughts are like this. They come and go. Sensations are like this. They come and go. We don't give anything any special value. Simply to notice is enough. We know the grasping mind for what it is. We don't buy into it, just noticing it, the way it wants to colour in, make things into things, make things out of things. We just notice that. The nature of things is not anything special, it's just the way things are. We don't need to make anything into anything to notice the way it is. The way it is it comes and goes. It has no special significance. The body is just a body. Your mind is just a mind, doing what minds do. The body just doing what bodies do. Without adding any special significance, we notice the true nature of things. So being content with the ordinary, to see the true nature of things, means we have to let go. We have to let go of the grasping mind that wants to make things into something special, wants to create something out of our experience. We have to let go to see things as they really are. We have to let go of the way we'd like them, we want them to be. The way we think they ought to be. being left with our true nature, the nature of body and mind. We recognize there's nothing personal here. The nature of body and mind is universal. We say it's our true nature, but it's not personal. How could it be? It's just nature, the way it is. We see that we have to surrender because we can't defeat nature. We have to accept the way it is. There's no more battle there then, no resistance. We realize that letting go leads to laying down a burden. Natural experience of peacefulness. Lightening of the load. An ending a struggle. Even if only for a moment. To let be and to let go. These two work together. Discovering that both have a place in surrender, accepting the way things are. And if we taste freedom, even just for a moment, then we know it's something that we can nurture, that taste. We can remember it. And return to it. We know how it arises. We can reflect. Oh yes, it was from letting go, not from trying to be and become. worth reflecting on this. Perhaps a statement that I can make here that comes to mind. If we take a statement like, anything good that comes out of our practice comes from letting go. So that's maybe seems quite a bold statement to make. Whatever benefit, whatever's good that's a benefit comes out of letting go. I think, well, maybe that's quite a bold statement to make. So you're to inquire, to reflect on that, to inquire into it. What's that? Perhaps to recall an experience maybe that you had in this meditation or in a past occasion, which you would say, yes, there was a sense of relinquishment, a sense, something which occurred there, a relinquishment, and from that, a sense of freedom, a step towards freedom, a laying down of the burden that we were carrying. It's when we reflect, we realize that whenever we experience freedom, it comes out of letting go. If we don't see that clearly, then we might mistake the desire to be free to be the cause of that freedom. And there is an understandable desire to be free, to experience freedom. But that doesn't take us to freedom, because the characteristic of letting go that precedes freedom is the opposite to desire. So even wholesome desire to be free is eventually we have to let go of that. We might aspire to be free, but the desire to be free will simply keep pushing freedom away. We have to let go. It's a bit like running after a football, where every time we get near, we kick it further away. The desire can't lead to freedom. Even wholesome desire, that desire for freedom itself, something we eventually have to let go of. Wholesome aspiration. We can practice with a great deal of sincerity, based on a wholesome aspiration to be free, but that in itself isn't enough. It won't take us to freedom. Ultimately, we'll still be trapped. Only relinquishment, letting go, leads to freedom. And our conditioning isn't that. Our conditioning is to grasp. We didn't come into this world from letting go. We came into it through grasping. Our conditioning is to grasp. You could say all we've ever known is grasping. we don't know freedom, we don't know what relinquishment really is, because we're so conditioned to grasp. And so we grasp freedom, because it's just that it's a habit, conditioning. So it's extremely helpful to hear, to consider and to reflect upon what causes freedom to arise. The cause is this relinquishment, is letting go. You could say there's no cause there at all. It's in that it's uncaused, because we're letting go of conditionality. And so that's why when we experience freedom, even a glimpse, a little taste of freedom, it's as though it comes from outside. So where does it come from? Almost like in Christianity we talk about grace. I don't talk about Christianity, and I don't talk about grace, but that's what comes to mind. Other traditions, other religions have different ways, different words. That's the idea of something coming from outside, not something that we can explain in the sense of coming from me, from me and mine. It's a gift. Freedom is a gift. It's not something you can grasp. You can't create it, because it comes from letting go. Relinquishment. Surrender. None of this sounds very attractive. We don't want to relinquish, we don't want to surrender. We don't really want to let go, we don't want to let be either. We're conditioned to interfere with everything. Try to make things into something, try to make things out of something. It's our conditioning. We don't want to accept things as they are. Because that doesn't require a sense of me doing anything. And if I'm not doing something, who am I? Surely, I have to do something. Because if I didn't do something, I couldn't be the owner of it. This is the ending of that. You can't be the owner of freedom. You can't claim it as yours. It can't be personal. The self has no place, no role to play. Simply an obstacle gets in the way, a conception of the mind that's nothing to do with the way things are in an ultimate sense. It's just a game we play. We're conditioned to play. It's like creating a dream world that we can inhabit. Princes and princesses, and everyone's nice to each other, or there are demons out there, they're all horrible. We create a self to experience all these other selves in the world. And we want to do this, and we want to get rid of that, and this is good and that's bad, and it ought to be like this and it oughtn't to be like that. And all of that. And we're trapped, and we call it samsara. This is going round and round. And we're born and we die, and that's that. But all of the time we're trying to do this and that and get rid of this and that and just pedaling a wheel around a wheel. You don't see that it's an illusion that we're just buying into the whole time. And it's a burden. And it's something that we can let go of. But letting go isn't getting rid of, which is why half of letting go is letting be. Letting in. Accepting things as they are. There's nothing to fix. That's quite a shock, isn't it? Say there's nothing to fix. So what sort of role do I have to play in this if there's nothing to fix? How am I going to, what do I do if there's nothing wrong that I need to fix? There's no problem to solve. I've got no role to play in life. What's the point? This is the way of the grasping mind. There's no meaning in life if I haven't got a problem to fix. The possibility of letting go, doesn't occur to the self-centered, grasping mind, because that's death, that's dying. Surrender is a dying. Nobody wants to do that. The self doesn't want to die. But the little step by little step, when we let go a little, every time we let go a little, we die a little. And we realize that freedom, that laying down of a burden. We think, oh, that's better. That gives us the confidence to let go a bit more. And let go again and again. And realize that what we're dying to is this self-delusion. What we're dying to is a lot of pain and suffering. What we're dying to is being trapped in a very painful world. That's all coming out of our own self-creation. And that there's, little bit by bit, the possibility of laying down the burden and realizing freedom. And little bit by bit we step into the light, out of darkness. And it doesn't come out of, meaning well, trying hard. It's not like that those things are worthless, but it's just not ever going to ultimately sustain our practice, meaning well and trying hard. What sustains our practice is freedom, that taste of freedom. Letting go should be our practice, our relinquishment, our surrender, willingness to let go. And it's always available. Every time somebody says something we don't like, we can let go. We can surrender. doesn't make what they say right, but it doesn't mean that we can't reply. But we have our opportunity to let go of our aversion, our view, our opinion. It shouldn't be like this. We have an opportunity to see how simple the nature of dukkha, the way things are unsatisfactory, that there are, wherever we look, almost everyone else in the world sees things differently. You could say that for certain. Nobody sees things the same way. It's inevitable. How could it be otherwise? The opportunity to surrender, to accept things as they are, is available in every moment. And when we develop that taste of freedom, then it's available to us more and more. So it's worth it. It's worth the effort, even though it's effortless. It's worth the effort to cultivate. If we think of it as being an effort, then we make it into hard work. But it's actually effortless because there's nothing to fix. It's just accepting things as they are. Doesn't require us to create something that's a problem in order to fix it. There's nothing that's a problem, nothing that we need to fix. We can accept the way things are through letting go. And then there's no, it's like the problem is understood, so then there's nothing to fix. Anyway, I offer that for discussion. I hope somebody, and more than one person perhaps, will ask some questions, make some reflections, and either online or in the room here. We've been given the permissions to unmute, so please feel free to unmute and say something, reflect on something, or ask a question if you have one. Who? Hi, Jude.
Hi, thank you, Martin. That was a lovely reflection. And it brought to mind a saying someone told me once. I think it might be a Scottish saying, which has stayed with me. And that is, the strongest grip is the open palm.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that one?
No, I never have. It's good, isn't it?
I'd never heard it either, but it's helped me greatly in my work and also as a parent. And it seemed to resonate with the things that you just said. So thank you for those reflections.
Yes, the strongest grip is the open palm. Yes, that reminds me of what someone said to me. They were talking about holding a flower in the hand, and how, or a butterfly. I think it was a butterfly in the palm of your hand. If you how would you hold a butterfly? You had to open the palm. You couldn't, and we whereas when we grip and we hold on, we crush the life out of things, don't we? Butterfly, the flower, whatever it is. So that's a really lovely way to reflect, is that when it's the same with people, isn't it? If you hold relationships, grasp them tightly, we don't give them a chance to give their own freedom. So then that relationship can't flourish. So that's good. That's a nice reflection. Thank you.
Can you say something there? You can't resist it.
Mariana, yes, please.
Up front of it, it seems to me there is no expectations, acceptance basically, and then the let go. It is the other side of letting go. It is preparing for the letting go, the acceptance, open hands, and not grasping goes. But the real challenge is, what do we do with the energy which seems to be so compelling and compulsive, when we start really to let go? And how best to channel it?
The energy is useful. Energy is a good thing. Energy is not something, but our energy has to be balanced, doesn't it? Energy. I would say. I said energy is useful, but the art is to have just enough. And so just enough might be very, very little. And we often have too much. We put too much energy in. We bring too much energy in. I used to find, for example, when I went on a retreat, I was always very energetic, and all that energy would come up out of that enthusiasm. So exciting! I'm starting a retreat. I've been, it's a year has passed. This is my it's laid aside and other things I could have been doing, and I've arranged all my family life and work around being able to be here. Here we are. It's exciting, and I'm so pleased to be here, and I've got so much energy, and this is what it was like. And I couldn't sleep. I wouldn't sleep the first night. It was just so exciting to just be there. It doesn't matter, done 20 retreats, no difference. And so I realized at the beginning of a retreat, I didn't need any more energy. What I needed to do was calm down, relax, just relax. And so from then, at that moment, energy was about as little as possible. Just let it go, just relax, just calm down, relax. So I'd spend the beginning part of the retreat just relax, reducing the energy. But then everyone, I think, experiences the same thing. When restlessness goes, you get sleepiness. And it hits you at some point. You think, oh, I can't keep awake. I'm so tired. You wake. You kind of like you realise you're nodding, and you're, oh no, I can't be awake. I can't keep awake. So mind's all wandering, and can't be awake. And so you realise, oh, where did all that energy go? It's all gone. And so then you need to develop more energy. So try to put some more energy into the paying attention, more energy into the details and what's happening. Even the experience of sleepiness, what's really trying to notice, putting out energy as much as possible, just to notice the experience. Really paying close attention, and then eventually it would balance. Again, that balance between restlessness and sleepiness would establish a balance. But I would always discover that it was little energy. It wasn't very much. It was that the amount of energy needed was only just enough, because if you have too much energy, it makes the mind restless. But you only need just enough energy to be awake and aware, not any more than that. And it might be very little. And the difference when you really calm the mind between being asleep and being awake is a hair's breadth, because the mind and body become so calm. It's almost like sleep. You don't really need to sleep very much, because your meditation practice is quite close to sleep anyway. But it's not like you're asleep. You're awake, but you don't have rest. You don't need. You just don't bother. You don't need any. You just have enough energy, and enough energy isn't very much. And when we learn then where to apply energy just enough, we become very energetic because we don't waste it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Interesting. Andrew.
Yes, hello.
Oh, hi, Andrew.
I'd like to, I really got a lot out of what you've been saying about energy, no throwing too much at things, and also unraveling, the idea of just letting go is beautiful. But I think one of the things coming from a theistic background for me is very difficult is it's all concepts, but it's something that I almost feel I need to get a handle on a wee bit, is the nature of the Dhamma. Because, for example, my own experience is, as you set out on a spiritual path with some degree of sincerity and energy, things open up for you and experiences happen, and it's almost like doors are opening in order to facilitate that journey. I noticed this particularly when I was a young lad on my travels, hitchhiking around the place, as a busker. And that was a period when I started to get into Buddhism, and then beyond that into Christianity. But I would notice that, crazy things would happen in terms of, Christians would call it providence, whereby, you'd be down to your last crust of bread and somebody would just appear and hand you some food, strange thing, somebody would just arrive at the right moment just before it was going to lash it down with rain to pick you up. And of course, it doesn't always happen, and maybe we fixate on the times it does. Maybe it's just coincidence. But I have heard similar language in Buddhism. There's almost a personalization of the Dhamma sometimes when I hear these Buddhists speaking. The monks and things. As sometimes the Dhamma will teach you everything, and this and that. And so it seems to me there's a supra-personal quality to the Dhamma. It's not that it's impersonal. It's not that it's personal. It's beyond personalism. And maybe one of the reasons I struggle with all of this is because, from a Christian background, we would always look on being. Being is in its most excellence when it's personal. That's the height of being. The rocks, even the animals, they don't have the same degree of personalism as a human or an angel. And then obviously God beyond that. But anyway, I just throw that out there. I wonder if somebody could say something, or yourself, on this. I think I've said enough for you to get where I'm coming from.
I don't know if I'm quite completely clear, but it doesn't matter. It's interesting, isn't it, that Buddhism is a religion that's impersonal, based on the impersonal, because it's not about the personality becoming enlightened. That isn't possible. Yet, another religion, Christianity, is definitely about me becoming. I mean, you could say that me going to heaven, for example. But on the other hand, there's mystic Christianity, which I think would see things differently. But it doesn't matter. Really, from a Buddhist perspective, what our practice is to see clearly, and so we're not. That's why Buddhism is. You say it's non-theistic. It's not a theistic religion, true, but it's also it's not a belief system. Whereas for Christianity, you would say it's a dogmatic religion. It's based on belief. And so, how does that work? Because if Buddhism isn't a belief system, then how do you need to believe in enlightenment? And that's why I say no, because that will eventually get in the way. So although a wholesome aspiration for freedom is maybe at some point needed, because it inspires us to practice, you have to abandon it completely in order to before enlightenment can happen, because enlightenment comes from letting go. It doesn't come out of desire. So you can't hold on to anything. You can't believe in anything. Nothing like that will take you to enlightenment. And so that's why Buddhism isn't a belief system. It's all about letting go of belief and accepting, for example, in the case of, I think, maybe going back to your question, accepting that you don't know. And this, even though enlightenment has right understanding at the beginning, not at the beginning, but as sort of a focal point, if you like, of the Eightfold Path, right understanding informs all of the other factors of all of the other path elements. Without right understanding, you can't really practice or really understand how to practice the other parts of the path. So you could say that's a core part of Buddhist practice. But that right understanding is not a belief system. It's not a holding on to a view. It's not a position that you can take. It's nothing but clarity of mind. But then seeing the way things are. And the way things are, you might as well say it's about not knowing. It's about a willingness not to know. Because it's not about knowing something that you can say, this is it. If it were like that, it would be, you could say, all you've got to do is know this. It'd become a belief system, wouldn't it? You could believe it and it would be good enough. It's not about knowing something. It's about, you could say it's about willingness not to know, to be happy, to be comfortable, to be at ease with not knowing. Because easefulness is letting go of any kind of grasping. And it's not about trying to become somebody who knows. That's ridiculous. It's not knowing is good enough. It doesn't really, there's nothing. It doesn't matter. It's just being at ease in the mind. It doesn't require us to know anything, really, in a sense of holding on to some sort of knowledge or view or position of any sort. It's not like that. Just being comfortable with the way things are, whatever it is, however the mind is. It doesn't require it. So there's no position in Buddhism that you have to hold on to or sense of anything. It's the opposite of that. So it's so different, I think, from a theistic religion or a belief-based system of any sort. It's quite other than that. It's quite opposite. So it's like in a completely different world. In that, when you compare it to any belief-based system, it's the opposite of that. So I think your question, Andrew, comes from the idea maybe that there should be some personal, or maybe maybe your question is based on the idea that formerly you thought that, and now you're beginning to enter the world of the impersonal, the possibility of not personalizing, and that I think that's a good step, a step in the right direction, because that, certainly from a Buddhist perspective, is a way of seeing things clearly, because we can't see things clearly when we cloud the mind with with any kind of clinging and attachment, and especially that clinging and attachment to the self-delusion that really does cloud our ability to see things clearly. Al, who's Al? Do you have a question?
Yeah, just one question picking up from what Andrew was saying. Is awareness universal, or is it a non-person universal experience? Does that make sense? So your ego dissolves. Is that awareness a universal experience, or is it an individual experience which is universal?
Well, the awareness is simply a natural state of mind that's available to anyone. So it's available to anyone. It's just humor. It's the ability of the mind to be awake and aware. It can't be personal, because it's available to anyone. Can't be just. You can't say it's just mine. If you say it's personal, it's like you're the only. It's like you're kind of giving it some kind of unique quality that depends. It's yours, But it can't be that way, can it? It's just there's a quality of mind that's available anywhere to anyone.
But it's not. Is it the same quality of mind that you have, Martin, compared with what I have, or is it a different substance?
Well, the content of the mind might be different, but the awareness of it can't be.
Right.
Awareness is just awareness, isn't it? It's like the nature of the mind. How could the nature of the mind be different from one person to the next? The nature of the mind is to be able to be awake and aware. How could that be different? And that's why Nibbana has the same taste. There's no personality, no difference between the Buddha's experience of Nibbana or anyone else's. It couldn't be. It's not a personal quality.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anyone in the shrine room would like to ask a question? Anyone else on Zoom? Got a couple of minutes.
I mean, if there's nothing, if I could just follow on from what you said there, is it Martin? Martin, yes, yeah. Sorry. Sometimes almost, if you've come from a place where prayer has been a big part of your life, and I'm not saying it's completely not now, but it has I'm definitely combining it with mindfulness and meditation, which ultimately seems to me to make more sense, but still, sometimes there's almost a guilty sense of like, wow, this is almost, one needs the help of the the supreme. What I mean? It's like a need to reach out beyond one's little self. But I think what you've said there is substantial, because it's almost like in Buddhism there's a sense that awareness. Perhaps awareness is the Dhamma, and it's something intrapersonal. It's beyond the barriers of self and other. It's something we all share. But maybe sometimes when I almost have a fear of emptiness with this whole path, and I would be left in a kind of a desolate place of emptiness. How could there be love if there was nobody to love? There was all these are just ideas, of course, and that I plague myself with. But I don't know. Yeah, just I think sometimes metta is starting to play a bigger role for me now. The Brahma Viharas of like, okay, if I feel in that empty spot where I would normally reach in prayer to a personal deity, I would now, generate metta for myself and then in all directions kind of thing.
Yes, I agree. But I also would like to add that what we're developing is self-confidence. And so, whereas we might have previously prayed to some external thing, or even it's common enough in Buddhist practice to have a great high level of respect, even verging on worshipping, say, a teacher. You can regard them so highly that you believe every word they say and you've got to do everything they tell you. That could happen. But that isn't a Buddhist path. The Buddhist path is a development of self-confidence, to actually, little by little, putting it into practice, realizing that you're learning as you go along, finding that this is good and I'll do this, I'll follow this, I get that. When I do this, when I let go, I get that. So I've got more confidence to let go a bit more. And then we develop that self-confidence and until we realize it's not about the external, it's about simply developing the internal. The truth is within us. It's not found outside, and we just have to open the door and let it out. It's like it doesn't come from going outside and grabbing it and trying to hold on to it. It doesn't work that way. That's a truth in Buddhism, which I think is so profound. That it's actually all comes down to us. We can develop that confidence that we can see for ourselves.
Thank you. Yeah, no, the paradox is intense because it's like selfless self-confidence.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
I think I'd like to draw it to a close. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll finish with the closing homage, which is on page 13 or something. 17, is it? 16. Oops. I'm doing this one morning. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi. I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. Sakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Dhamman Namassami, I bow to the Dhamma. Sipatipanno Bhagavato Sarvaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami, I bow to the Sangha. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
for joining
Martin.
this
Thank you very
evening.
much.
Thank you for everyone who joined online.